And Terrence, they didn't have the catch thing.
All right, everyone. Good evening. Apologies for my delay. We are now ready to call our regularly scheduled meeting to order. All right, up first on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda that we have before us tonight. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we would approve the agenda as printed. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. That'll bring us to public comment. Do we have any members of the public today? I don't see any. So then that will bring us to minutes. We have the November 2025 minutes before us today. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move that we approve the November 2025 minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we would approve the November 2025 minutes. Any discussion or corrections?
Yes, unfinished business should be taken out of the finance committee line and put in its own. thing.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Yep, gotcha. Okay, yep.
all right. Any other corrections? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, carries. All right, that will bring us to the treasurer's report. Kathy, I will turn it over to you.
I move the board approve the November operating bills totaling $360,239.36. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that the board would approve expenditures totaling $360,239.36. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
I move to receive and file the financial reports.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded that we would receive and file the financial reports. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
For Michigan class, as of November 30th, our Michigan class balance was $14,788,974.20. I made a withdrawal of $600,000 on November 21st, which I transferred into the Comerica checking account for bill payment. This will start occurring. So I will always let you know how much I've withdrawn and transferred over. Our November earned interest was $50,677.70. And our year-to-date interest was $508,699.83. On November 1st, our daily interest rate was 4.1464%. And on November 30th, it was 4.0866%. Now with the drop that just occurred, it will be going down probably. So I can call, and I'm going to call our financial person at Michigan class and talk about that. So I have a little more idea.
Yeah, Kathy, I can tell you, we got an email from them. It reduced by 0.25 basis points, and it's now at 4.04%. And they did advise that we call them to have a discussion. So the call will be expected. Yeah. All right. Anything else from the treasurer?
That's it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, can I just ask
Yes.
so this is a new process for you to withdraw the money to pay, like, how were you doing that before?
I haven't had to do that.
Okay,
This
that's
is the first time, and I believe I wire transferred it. So,
but this is what you're gonna have to do, you're saying?
yes.
Okay.
Periodically, we have to be able to pay the bills.
Yeah,
And see, the money that went into Michigan class is used to pay the bills.
Right.
Like out of the millage. So. It's bank.
Right. I just didn't know how you were doing that
Yeah.
before.
I think though, Kathy, wasn't there a larger balance in the account?
Yeah, there was more money in the account.
And then you transfer that over to Michigan.
Correct.
Because it's smart.
Yes.
Right, gotcha.
So this was as of November 30th, after I did the transfer, that's what that balance is.
Right, no, I was asking about the process. So what you're saying is that you tried to max out what we have in Michigan class, whereas before there was more. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 2%.
okay.
So
Maybe less.
back when we were holding more in America, now we're holding most in Michigan class, requiring more transfers back. For the transfer. All right. Thank you, Kathy. Much appreciated. That will bring us to the Friends of the Library report. So I will turn it over to Stacy.
Thanks, Ernie. We had our meeting last Wednesday and we renewed, I was just looking up the amount, we renewed our endowment fund. We're transitioning some funds over and there's some paperwork that needs to be done, but the funds then do stay intact. So currently in our endowment fund, we have $544,509. Kathy, that $604,000 that I told you about the other night is incorrect. So it's $544,509 and 10 cents. 45,000 of which is committed to the library for the outdoor space. Sorry, I forgot my notebook, but it's a good thing that we have linked devices, right? So just looking to make sure that I have everything. We met Sasha, and it's poor woman. She's had 10,000 meetings already this month. It's not even the third over, right? Well, maybe it is. I hope she had a good time because we had a short meeting. It was very nice. So our membership letter is going out. Look for that in your mailbox. And gosh, anything else? We have a board member who's transitioning off, so we will be looking for another board member, Mary Beth Burrow.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Been on a long time.
She has 18 years,
Yeah.
so her last meeting will be in January, sadly. Sorry, sidebar, and and then lastly, we've had Rebecca Brown, who does the author event for the National Friends Week, has just done an outstanding job, and everybody that she has picked has been not only well received but well attended programs. And I think that she tries to outdo herself every year. So this year we have a preliminary author who is, for those who know him, TJ Klune, who wrote The House by the Cerulean Sea. It's coming in just hot, so it's a little bit more than we've paid in other years. So I'm thinking about different fundraisers we can do to maybe make up the difference and not the big way, depending on what our membership fundraising brings in, as well as anything we do in the spring. So that's it. Any questions about any?
How do you spell the author's last name?
Klune.
That's a good
Initials are
guess.
TJ.
That's a good guess.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I said to Rebecca, she goes, he's in my top 5 favorite of authors. And I said, so when you have to go pick them, I'll have to drive you because you won't be able to. She goes, oh yeah. I said, are you gonna be worse than Sandy? She goes, oh, way worse.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the crazy, and I hope you are too.
Any
Meaning is-
questions first?
Stacey, how much did you say the friends are committed to the outdoor space?
45,000. We're looking at a matching campaign as we move toward the spring.
All right. Thank you very much, Stacy. Much appreciated. That will bring us to the director's report. I don't know. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we'll turn it over to you. Yeah. Last one.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay, for your
Okay.
last report.
I'm gonna do the January one while she's still here to help guide me.
Where are you? First grade field trips have started. The Friends generously support the bus ride to get the first graders here. So they've started at both buildings. All staff training is in progress with the equity and action training, which happened twice this week and it'll be twice next week. this week it's at Farmington Hills, next week it's at Farmington, and all staff are required, except for showers and aides, it's optional to attend. We were in the holiday parade and the light up the grand, and we had story time with Mrs. Claus here on Saturday afternoon. So busy. Red Cross Blood Drive is December 16th. I know they're always looking for donors, so from 12 to 6, that is at this location. You can either sign up online or call them. The information would be on our website. Our new adult computer chairs have arrived. And they're gorgeous. And they're vinyl and they're wipeable and not. So this is a bonus.
And they're adjustable.
And they're adjustable, yes, they are adjustable. And they have arms. So a couple things. We received some nice comments from some patrons in a little holiday card. The love of family, the warmth of friends, the beauty of the season, wish you all this and more. Thank you for all of your support and assistance. Dr. Shelley, Literacy Centers. This was a person who received or who reserved the meeting room and stopped, and the staff helped her, and so it was very appreciative of them. Sorry, go back this way. And then this one was from a Farmington Hills resident to the staff at Farmington Community Library. Thank you for all you do for our vibrant community, from recommending books, hosting events for all ages, holding space for our monthly group meetings, group meetings, or simply
I think it's writers.
writers group meetings,
Excellent.
or simply somewhere free to hang out when it's too hot or too cold to be outside. Thank you. I keep up the great work. So that was very nice too. So at the 50th anniversary celebration on Sunday, we had a great turnout. Over 60 people were in attendance. City council members were there from both cities. Farmington Hills superintendent was there, so it was really good. And MCD Architects gifted us a tree because for this building, because they have to take a tree down. So they are replacing it with a tricolor European beech tree, which is the same tree that will be taken down. So there.
Awesome.
So that was nice.
Are they donating a mature tricolor?
Well, then I don't know. It's not state for sure.
Check the document.
They're not donating to the seed library.
So that was very nice of them. What else is here? Our staff holiday party is tomorrow. We're bringing in Qdoba for staff. They can bring in their desserts and stuff. So we have about 40 people signed up for it. So half the staff almost, basically. So that's good. Our MLK Junior Day events are now in the library marketing calendar. So we're starting on Saturday with the Hustle Line Dance. And then Sunday is the film screening and discussion of Selma, Lord Selma. And then we'll have the Legacy March on Monday, like we always do. It starts at 11, from 11 to 11:30. And then we have the FPS dance group immediately, basically after that. And then we have a little break, and then we have a small business owners panel of some local businesses in the area. Also, we sat with MML, Michigan Municipal League, who is our insurance company, to talk about our loss control services over the past year. And so we are in good shape. We basically have no loss whatsoever. They like it to be under 1, their ratio, whatever. And we're at 0.96, and we've been there forever. So we're good there. The one open claim that we have is the light pole. You want me to sign it too?
But like, I don't think it's recording sound like that, how we read it.
Well, do you want me to stop? So wait.
So long.
Yeah,
No,
let's
but
see.
I don't know how to fix it, so.
Check your microphone. Check my microphone.
Right in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to pause the recording?
Sure.
Okay. I think we had some technical difficulties, but we've not conducted any business in the interim, so we can resume. I think we're with the director, and the director's report.
Okay, the Grand River corridor improvements, wasn't there a meeting? I feel like there was a meeting this month sometime, did anybody, you went to the DDA one, I feel like, so anyway, they sent us for 2025, they sent us their annual report, so I'm gonna pass it, it's very small print. It doesn't matter what size paper you put it on, it's very small print, but basically. They brought in $77,140 something dollars. If I had my glasses on, I'd be able to read that better. And then the amount they took from the library, captured from the library, was $4,491. Just FYI. And I think that is it for me. Is there any questions for me?
One question for you, Kelly. I know that we had an incident in the library. So as I understand it, just for the record, that's kind of in process in an investigatory phase with the police department.
Correct.
Okay. Once that's complete, I expect that you'll give the board a full readout, so that we can be aware of what went down there.
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you. So continuing with your report. Oh, sorry.
In the patron comments that we had for this month, there are quite a few suggestions. I was wondering if there's any follow-up or action on those.
Jill, where did she?
She went out to make sure it's working.
Oh.
Being a test subject right now.
So-
The microphone.
Jill handles all of those.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll
those
ask
are her,
her.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I know supervisors, we got it for our departments, and then if they have contact information, we always follow up.
Okay.
That is the practice.
Okay, on that note, if there's no more questions for me, I'm gonna turn it over to Kristen. Then.
You can pass this down, Chris, and look at that while I'm talking. I'm doing something else to look at, so just use my face. All right, so. It's true, I intended. Can I have the keyboard, or is it back here? She has it, I have it, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
See if I can figure out how to do this, they come up and then share it so that it's on the recording too. Bear with me for a second.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's me.
There they are.
Oh, no. I didn't even know that. Well, we had none.
Just what,
Did it click?
no,
Did it click?
oh, you don't have it, so you're just plug it in flash.
Using the flash drive, but.
No, no, you can't plug this in here to use it. You
Oh.
can't plug it in there for this to work.
Oh, where do you put this at?
You have to use your computer.
Okay.
Box inside of here.
Should still be able to do it.
That's just the keyboard in that.
Sorry, we always use the click share, so this is like a. That's Geo. Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll hold. Yeah.
FA Circ probably is Jill.
Right.
No, it's up here, it's all of there. Do you see it?
Yeah, that's it. This is it.
Isn't it? We'll get to this. Thank you for your patience.
There, have you? Yes, they are. That was 14 times heavier than a little bit. So you know, so they. Well, it's good, you know, for.
Added weight. Help me.
Yeah.
Give the USB. It's like, and it's like registered, because look, it's red. Connected. But it's not showing up. Bye.
And then you're then suppressors. Yeah.
I know, like the last one, you know, it's.
These are USB.
Oh.
You made it sign up.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny
Yeah,
that
make it right, that's
in
okay.
all presence is something, all heads up. Not fighting, but the whole thing. I do think that's totally fun.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this in the library of things?
No, this is not part of the library of things.
I feel like you need to plug it into Crystal's computer. That's the one that's controlling that.
No, it's not. Computer, oh, yeah.
I can try it.
You know, several people asked me if they had Sunday.
Because if I switch it to click share, will the owl still? The owl won't be.
Right, no, it won't work with the app.
Right.
Click share and thing like.
Yeah.
And
I'll email it to you, and then you just bring it up here and then share screen. Yes. Yes, that's fine. Yeah. Can we, she's gonna email it to me. Can we stop recording while we're doing this? Is that okay?
Just move on down the agenda. Do you want to move on?
Yeah, do you wanna keep going?
All right.
Then come back to me. Sorry about that.
All right. No worries, Crystal. Things happen. As you saw, I arrived here. I went to the wrong location, so all kinds of things
But I
happen.
promised Maria that I would take no more than 5 minutes.
No worries. I think we will move on, in the interest of time and come back, and, that will bring us to committee updates. And so the first committee update would be personnel. So Gohara, I will turn the floor over to you.
I'm not sure we have any updates other than to welcome Sasha to be here. Her last meeting. We're so happy you're here. I know most of the board has had a chance to meet Sasha since she started. Thank you all for coordinating and taking her to lunch on her first day. And Sasha and I will be meeting weekly as of now, just to have some point of transition while Kelly is teaching her and imparting all the information. I'll just be some continuity between that transition and just support and help as I can. But otherwise, no other updates.
All right. Thank you very much, Gohara. I appreciate that.
Bernie, can we pause recording for one moment while we bring up the email?
Sure.
You shouldn't have to pause it.
Well,
Well,
because
it's showing on the screen.
It's not showing on your, unless you're hitting share. Oh, wait, cause the video. Gotcha. But like, nobody's in the meeting.
Maybe it would show up.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay,
see
okay,
my
okay.
library email, which we probably
Yeah.
don't want the public to see. That's
Yeah,
necessarily-
that's just.
I mean, not that I have anything in there, but.
is that,
Yes, we're gonna take a brief pause for a moment so you
Can keep going and then.
Okay, Now, at this point, I think we resolved our technical difficulties and we're going to move a step back into the director's report. And we have Crystal Sexton here with us today, and she's going to provide an update on the IDEA committee. I think it's still called IDEA Task Force. Let me get that right. Crystal, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Everyone.
The recording though, that doesn't need to, you hit.
Do I need to share? Okay, let me
To have it sync.
quickly get that. Oh. Back. Zoom. Thank you, Stephen, for reminding me. Sorry.
And then you hit that little. Like almost like, I would say a wine glass. But-
The
I
wine.
think that's what you see.
That icon of F5.
Yeah, right there.
There you go. Yeah, we're good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Can you all hear me?
Now you can.
Okay. So hi everyone, I'm Crystal Sexton. I'm the head of Children's Services at the Farmington Hills location. And I'm also the chair of our IDEA Task Force. And so this is kind of the annual report to the board, and IDEA stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. Each value is important for the good of our organization and our community, and they all work seamlessly together. So these are our current task force members. We have had a couple people roll off and new people roll on. Everyone is selected based on a diverse background, diverse experiences, their demonstrated commitment to this kind of work, and a different array of skill sets that we need to get the work done that we do. So this is our current task force, and we are in the process of inviting a new member. And that process is rather formal because there's a lot of work involved in this task force. So we have to kind of see if they're ready to take on that level of responsibility in addition to the normal role, and then that their supervisor does approve that. So we're in the process of doing that right now for a 9th member. So what we do year round, we make recommendations to MAC when they're developing policies or rewriting policies. We're looking for inclusive language. We model a DEIA first approach at the workplace. We create book lists for Heritage and Pride months that marketing sends out, in addition to other kinds of book lists that the whole organization does. We recommend the org-wide trainings for staff, and we provide a monthly DEIA tip to staff. What we don't do is handle any kind of issues, any kind of like reporting, whether from patrons or internally with staff, that there are other systems, appropriate systems in place for those things. We don't call people out for behavior. We don't manage those kinds of things. That's outside our scope. We're more like advisory. But we do create a lot of deliverables too. So in 2023, we were born and we trained with one of our DEI consultants who also provided some of our org-wide staff training that was really great about bias. We did a number of these other things. And one of the things that we did, we had talked about adopting a DEI statement for the organization and ended up formally recommending using Urban Library Council's statement on race and equity that the board, voted yes on and adopted. So we signed on to their statement along with 215 other libraries in North America. And then in 2024, we were really digging into sort of research and understanding our community. So we put together some documents, including this calendar of events that I'm going to pass around. There should be hopefully enough copies for everyone. That we looked at our community demographics, statistics, languages spoken in our community, anecdotal evidence around the LGBTQIA+ communities, disabled communities, ages, aging populations, that kind of thing. We put that together in a comprehensive report, and then we use that to build a calendar of events, kind of look at what cultures and communities were being celebrated, maybe some that were being missed, where we have gaps in our programming and displays, and some possible recommendations. So it's just I just gave you the first page. I didn't give you the whole calendar because I didn't want to waste all that paper. But if you want to see the whole document, I can always email it to you. We started drafting and thinking about how we select performers, presenters that we hire for events, who we partner with in the community. We started kind of thinking about those things and drafting questionnaires. We created a reading, watching, listening suggestions for FCL staff that wanted to kind of take the work further and go on their own kind of personal journey. Those are being passed around. And we also drafted a land acknowledgement statement that we never got a chance to present last year. So we didn't bring this before you, but I do have that if that's something that the board is interested in doing. Some boards do it at the beginning of every meeting. Some do it during November for Native American Heritage Month, but we do have that if you're interested in reviewing that and possibly adopting it. And so that was 2024. And then this year, we finished those kind of questionnaires. That's this creating diverse programming with intention and building inclusive relationships, collaborations, and partners. So these are documents that we ask staff that are programming, supervisors and leadership that are partnering to kind of use these as guideposts as they do their work. And I'll pass those around. We also gave input to the Americans with Disabilities Act compliance policy, and we partnered with marketing to really come up with a great, reasonable accommodation form that is now in use for all events, and also live on our website for anyone who needs to use the buildings or use our services and finds that they need an accommodation. But this request form that's here in the top center, that's embedded into every event listing on Library Market, and we have paper copies. And patrons have been using it and really, really appreciating it. The feedback we've gotten has been very positive, that they feel very seen and that they know they can come to our events. Speaking of the author events, we had someone fill out the accommodation form because they use a rollator to walk and sit for their disability. And they just felt like this having this form made it possible for them to know they could come in person if they wanted to and did, versus a lot of times they stay home and they appreciate the hybrid and being able to watch from home, but this made it so that they could participate. So that has been really exciting. And really on the theme, we were really on the theme of, I think, accessibility this year. And so we developed this checklist for everyone who's doing events at the library, for staff, to kind of build out and make sure the event is as accessible as possible. Pass that around. And part of that, we worked with Jill. Jill was instrumental in building these kits that you passed around, that adaptive supply kit. That's not part of the Library of Things. That's an internal tools and kit for us to use at events so that anyone who comes to our events can participate as fully as possible, especially with the craft portion of those events. So we have, you see those scissors kind of in the picture. Those are, if you don't have the dexterity to kind of squeeze your fingers together, you actually just press down and it cuts the item for you. And then for our friends who are maybe sensitive to light and sound, we have headphones and sunglasses to kind of make the environment feel more comfortable for them. So we kind of put all those things out this year. This fall specifically, we got all of these sort of event pieces going with the adaptive supplies and the checklist and the accommodation form. But our kind of crowning achievement in 2025, in August this year, At Farmington Community Library hosted TLN's, the Library Network's first EDI conference. This conference is for everyone. So I actually sit on the EDI committee for TLN, so I got to do a little MC work during the conference. It was a day-long conference. We heard from Baldwin Public Library, Dearborn Public Library, and a keynote speaker, but we also presented, so you see Becky, who's actually at the desk right now when you step out at the children's desk, Laura, who is in patron services, and then Lisa Lesh-Vanstone, who is in my department, the children's department at our other building, who does a lot of disability support work. So they presented to about the 65 attendees from all the TLN libraries in the area about what we have been working on, which I just kind of gave you a synopsis of. And it was a really proud moment for me to watch the team up there and just do an amazing presentation. So looking ahead to 2026, we're going to be very focused on developing a system of support for colleagues who are facing microaggressions from patrons and staff. We're hearing and experiencing a lot of that. And so we're coming up with some ways that we can embed support into our daily practice and with leaders. Any questions? Can't see half of you.
I know. Any questions for Crystal?
Anything at all?
Chris,
Yeah.
Did you say that was TLN's first?
Yes, inaugural. And I didn't mention, they loved having it at our library so much, we're hosting it again this year. I think they also like my event planning skills. So I like to be very organized.
Crystal, I don't have any questions. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
Steve.
general, with some of the accessibility supports, we would have a general sense of how much of the frequency by which those are used by the public.
I know that our senior programming has been using it a ton. Lisa, my employee who's on the far right there, she does an adaptive story time for families with younger children. And so we have used some of those items in those spaces. It really just kind of depends. I also think use will grow as patrons realize that they're available. And I didn't mention this, but not only do we have those kits for the in-house one is the one that's passing around. We also have a smaller kit that goes on every outreach event that has crafts. So anywhere we are at, whether we're here in the building or out in the community, we have these supplies where appropriate. You're welcome. Yes.
Can I just say, my very first board meeting in 2023 must have been, you presented on the idea committee back then, and so it's such a full circle to see all that you have done since then. And I think a thing that we talk often is how diverse our community is, but that wouldn't mean so much to have diversity without inclusion and equity work, and the work that you are doing is so tremendous, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Crystal? Okay. Seeing none, no questions, but echoing Dilhara's comments, the work you've done is tremendous. And I think it helps us to better serve our community, and that demand is ever growing and complex. And so we appreciate having you here to help navigate through it. Thank you.
It's my honor.
All right. Anything else from the director's report?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you so much, Kelly. Really appreciate you and your last report. Gonna miss them. All right, so we'll go back to subcommittee updates. And so I think that brings us to facilities. And so Sharon, I will turn the floor over to you.
Our facilities, first meeting was in the 12/4 December. And we will have in January, Peter's gonna come with to ask for an approval for, the issue is the compressor for the repair at Farmington here. So he's gonna come, and his recommendation is going to be to replace the compressor now rather than just fix it and get something later. So that's on the January agenda. So at the facilities meeting, we talked a little bit about the master plan phasing. And the possible increase in cost because of the change in economics, which we anticipated probably would happen. Steve suggested that adding escalation clause for phase one projects ahead of time. That we can get, a good handle as we go along, as things change. I think Kelly, you were gonna put some new numbers together for us. We did have a meeting on December 10th. And at that meeting, we talked about the 4 different bids that were put in. Steve was surprised because a long time ago, he said, well, I don't know if you can get a good contractor for just a part of the project. They would want to do just a little part. But for some reason, 4 really good contractors made proposals. So I think everyone received those on their email. And so we were discussing it and we decided that the numbers can only tell you so much. Because they push this part of the job in one box and put something else in there, and it's really difficult to try to go through and do, page by page. But a more important thing is to talk to the referrals that the contractor had given you. And say, was that a good relationship when you worked with them? Did you have any problems? And Kathy is designing like 10 questions that we're gonna ask whoever we're assigned to call. And that's to ask the references. Rather than just look at the numbers, see what the references say about working with Steve's group. He also said that when we choose one of the contractors, and they need their own contract, of course. And our attorney would want to review it, but also is that he will go through and review the contract for something from his perspective that won't be working for us. And I think that's important because we're not familiar with the hands-on details that what we might run into, and he can spot those kind of things in a contract that we wouldn't have any knowledge how to do. So right now, we have some assignments to call the referrals that they gave. And if you want to meet with the individual group, he would recommend doing it right away. Because until you have a contract signed, you can't move forward. So we're gonna try to make those phone calls, the next week or so. And then see if we want to meet individually. You arrange a meeting with the principals that we'd be working with. So the 4 copies were McCarthy and Smith, Braun, Shaw, and Frank Renwald and Sons, and they all have experience in libraries. Some of them are more extensive than the others, some have a little different proposals. And the variance in price is $472,950 to $577,500. One more, one's 346. So they're all in the couple $100,000 category. The difference between the low and the high is about $230,000. So that's an issue coming up. We're meeting January before our meeting on the 7th, is it? The 8th, because the holiday is running into the normal day. And Kelly did a little review, checked on our bins on the back, and Peter's gonna follow up and talk to the company and find out if you can upgrade them a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Our other topics were more about housekeeping items. We did raise the question about insurance coverage if we had problems in the library. And maybe we want to talk of that more extensively at another meeting. And the landscaping, we reminded the group that, that's gonna be a big job we're gonna have in the spring. So if somebody has good suggestions of other landscapers to complement ours, we should look at them. And there are other kind of repair mechanical things. It seems like there's always some mechanical things. And that's pretty much the big item on the agenda is picking a construction manager. So if anyone has any personal feelings, Steve would not select one for us. He says he cannot because he works with all of them. And they all know him and he doesn't want to lose someone's business. I mean, you can understand that. So he wouldn't even wink or anything. He was very, very neutral. So, but if any of us knows any of these firms, it would be helpful. And I think that's about it.
That's all right.
Yes,
The
Steve.
question just is that, so that range of $200,000 seems quite large.
Yeah, one of the reasons is they get a fee percentage for construction manager. That ranges from 2.45% to 7.5%. So some of them charge their fee and their percentage there, and other charge it in, they allocate more for payment for labor services. So it's kind of buried in which I looked at. I think Sasha spent a little time looking at more detail. And noticing that the variance in different things. You would have to actually sit down and spend a little time, but that is one of the big items. But how the ones who don't charge a lot, they vary their costs in some other item, which a lot of time it's the labor costs. Well, how much they're gonna pay their labor people. So, but yeah, that's an area that's real obvious. The other is they have a fee also based on hard construction costs, I guess it's called, and that varies quite a bit from the one from 75,000, one to 232,000. So they're bidding something different there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you to the committee for your detailed work. This committee does a lot of work, and we know it's not a master plan committee, but it by de facto kind of ends up sometimes feeling like that. Sharon and I had a conversation about these proposals, and I think really at the end of the day, it is about the relationship piece of it. Who we feel is going to deliver the project in a timely fashion, as close to cost as possible, and keep good communications with our staff and the board. And so I think this process that you guys are going to go through will help us get a better assessment of that. I think, Sharon, you also mentioned that you guys are going to talk to the libraries that these folks have worked with.
Yeah, that's the first, we're gonna talk to, each person is gonna talk to a different group of libraries, but you're doing by what the contractor is, like I'm doing Broad. And then looking at his list of libraries and calling one or two of them. Okay. I think Gabby's doing, McCarthy and Smith. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Sharon.
They did answer your question.
All right, that will bring us to the finance committee. So Kathy, I will turn the floor over to you.
Okay, we met on Tuesday and invited Stacy to attend for the Friends of the Library, and we discussed donations, foundations, endowments, memorials, gift giving, and naming rights. How we can develop those things and figure out how we're gonna go forward on that. At the next meeting, we will be reviewing the memorial and gift policy and create a naming rights policy to be, and those will be presented to the board at the February meeting. Okay. That's it.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much. That will bring us to unfinished business. I do not believe we have any unfinished business. That will bring us to new business. Do we have any new business? Okay, I do not believe we have any new business. That will bring us to correspondence.
No, none there as well.
Okay, all right. That'll bring us back to public comment. I don't think any members of the public have joined us. We do see an FCL alum has joined us online. We'll call him out. We see you, Mr. Wrench. Nice to see you. You can't talk via Zoom though. All right, so that brings us to trustee comment. Do we have any trustee comment? Okay, see none. I would just say that Kelly mentioned in her report the 50th anniversary celebration of this building. Very good turnout, very well attended. I think all of the various stakeholders in both cities are very interested in the plans and excited about the plans. And I've heard nothing but good things. So thanks to the staff and all of you that have helped put those plans together. Thanks to the friends who are instantly enabling some of those plans, and appreciate you attending the finance committee meeting this week so that we can make sure we stay in alignment with you as we move forward to help fund more of the plans. So that's all I have.
Sorry, I wasn't there as my flight was delayed, I guess, but the Detroit airport found itself shockingly having snow.
Snow.
I didn't think he'd be surprised by that, so I sat in North Carolina for 4 hours.
Well, if there's anywhere to sit that would be better than here.
Yeah, but it was the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was only 40 degrees and raining every time I was there.
Oh,
but I was there to see friends, so it was fine, but yeah. They're just watching the car, line thinking, no, I guess I'm not gonna make it.
No, but it was a great event and, the weather, even with the weather, we had such a good turnout. So,
That's great.
very, very nice
So
event and
glad.
kudos to the staff for putting all of that together. All right, if there is nothing else and seeing nothing else, I believe that we can consider ourselves adjourned. So happy holidays and next time we see each other, it will be 2026 at this table. Everybody, have a good night.